overcome them all. HopeNetwork.org/autism.
Get him off that bus, Lord! Let's go! Let's go!
It's 4 a.m. and the first class of 2014 has arrived at the Miami-Dade County Boot Camp.
Sir, yes, sir! Everybody move, you're gonna say something. Understand that? Sir, yes, sir! You understand that? Sir, yes, sir! What? Sir, yes, sir!
There are 38 cadets on the bus, ranging in age from 16 to 24.
We gonna do it my way, or we gonna do it my way? There ain't no other way. Understand that? Sir, yes, sir!
They have all pled guilty to a myriad of crimes and face sentences of up to 15 years in prison.
Let's go! Move! Let's go! Let's go! Hey, hurry up! Get off the bus!
But the judges who sentenced them offered them one last reprieve: complete the boot camp program, and they won't have to go to prison. From the moment they arrive, the cadets are subjected to a verbal campaign of shock and awe, designed to test their limits. Here, everyone is treated the same, whether they look hard and streetwise or scared and innocent.
My name is Jennifer. I'm 18 years old. I'm in here for carjacking, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and burglary.
Jennifer Flores was 17 when she and her friend forced their way into a stranger's car.
Let's go!
I was with my best friend, which is a girl, and we were just messed up on drugs and just wanted to take somebody's car. We got in his car and I grabbed him by the back of his head and my co-defendant started just beating on him.
Let's go today! Today!
As the light rain falls, the youngest cadet in the class appears overwhelmed. Christian Arojo was 15 when he was arrested for aggravated battery after getting into a fight at a party, leaving the victim in a coma for 3 months. And you hit him because?
Because I was drunk and he looked at me in the wrong way.
The lack of self-control is a common trait among the cadets. Half the class failed to finish high school. 6 of the cadets were homeless and living on the streets. The key in boot camp is discipline and the realization that there are consequences for screwing up, no matter how small the screw-up might be.
My name is Justin Martinez, I'm 22, and I was born and raised in Colorado Springs.
Boot camp was designed for those at a crossroads, and few fit that description better than Martinez. Martinez's father spent most of Justin's childhood in prison, and Justin was well on his way down that path as well. His father was in the notorious street gang Piru in Colorado. After his mother moved him to Florida, Martinez joined the Homestead gang 9 Trey, the gang tattoos evident on his arms. Last year, he was arrested for a series of burglaries in which he stole a gun. Why'd you take a gun?
It's easy to sell. At the time, I was in my own apartment, and I was short on rent.
He said what haunts him is knowing how much he hurt his mother.
A son always knows his mother's pain. The look she gave me, the look she gave me when she came and saw me the last time, I knew she was hurting because she couldn't look me in my eyes. So I know I put a lot of pain in her chest.
It's been 19 months since he last saw his mother.
She told me the last thing she said was to keep my head on straight. And she wrote me a letter the other day that said to keep my head forward because I have a hot head. She knows I have a hot head.
Welcome to freaking Miami-Dade County freaking boot camp.
Sergeant William Dias helped launch the county's boot camp program back in 1995. Since then, more than 1,000 cadets have completed the program.
The program is here for you. It's not for us. All we want is your freaking best. Do you understand me? Sir, yes, sir.
I'm a big fan of boot camp.
Tell me why.
In part because I think it is probably the only program we have that is rehabilitative in nature for adults, for young adults. It is. It's the only program we have that's not prison.
Miami-Dade Circuit Court Judge Nushin Safi oversees the criminal division of the courthouse and knows she isn't sending choir boys into the program. Some of these folks have been convicted of some really bad things.
I would say by and large it's pretty serious offenses. I would say most of the people that I have sent to boot camp were pretty serious offenses.
You know, there's a lot of, you know the general sentiment in the public. If you ask the public, what should happen to somebody who commits an armed robbery or a carjacking or any of these things, they say, throw them away, throw them in prison.
I think that that's people's initial reaction, but what I would tell you is that I've had many cases where I thought it was my responsibility to make sure that the people involved in the case knew what I was about to do. So the prosecutors would bring the victims on these cases into court, and I did that on multiple occasions. And the one person that disagreed with me said to me, Judge Safety, I don't agree with you, but I agree with what you're trying to do. So
And what is it that we're trying to do?
we're trying to ultimately create a person that's going to be a functioning member of society and not create a person who's going to come out of prison and be a bigger, badder, better criminal.
According to Judge Safety, for many of these young criminals, boot camp may be their last opportunity to learn right from wrong.
What they tell you in boot camp is that they basically strip the kid down they strip the person down to bare bones, and they build them back up. And they're part of a team, they're part of a platoon. And they're definitely taught consequences, which I think is huge. They're taught to really believe in themselves. And all it is about giving the kid a chance. Ultimately, if the cadet fails, prison is waiting. The bus is waiting, their prison number is waiting.
From the moment they arrive, they are told there is a right way to do something and a wrong way. They teach them how to stand, how to speak, how to hold their canteens. They teach them how to sit.
I'm not taking my little mousy time when I do it. I'm not taking my time, oh, the seat dirty, whatever. I'm sitting down like a rock, you understand me?
They even show them the right way to lower their head in prayer.
Ready, prayer.
And if they mess up, they'll all be smoked.
Smoking them is when they have done something incorrectly and we get them to do whatever the exercise is that we ask them to do.
If you move and I don't give you permission, you will pay. Amen. If he messes up, you will all pay. Amen. If he doesn't sound off, you will all pay.
Out of the corner of her eye, she catches one of the cadets scratching his face.
When I tell you, stop freaking moving. Stop moving!
But using exercise as punishment has proved dangerous.
Let's go, get it going, let's go.
In 2006, 14-year-old Martley Anderson died in a Panama City boot camp. Anderson, who suffered from asthma, was unable to run as guards ordered. Videos showed the guards punishing him by taking him to the ground and forcing him to breathe in ammonia. The public outcry marked a turning point for boot camps. As a result, the legislature closed all 5 of its camps across the state. And in 2007, the Broward Sheriff closed its boot camp program to save money. Miami-Dade's program is the last in the state, and with an annual budget of $3.5 million, it too faces a precarious future. Mayor Carlos Jimenez proposed closing the program this year to save tax dollars, but came up with the money under pressure at the last minute to save it for now.
Boot camps are an inherent gamble. The safe bet would be to send these offenders to state prison, where it costs just $47.50 a day to house and feed them. But this is a long-term bet. You might even call it an investment in all our names.
Take Justin Martinez. A 5-year prison term would cost taxpayers $86,690. The 16-month boot camp, just $46,453. More important than the money, though, is the hope that the program will keep cadets from committing new offenses. The recidivism rate in prison is 27%. Within the boot camp, it's just 11%. In boot camp, they are required to attend classes, and most will earn a GED while here. Those who already have a high school diploma receive job training. But the cadets of Platoon 14-1 are still a long way from success. When we come back, which cadets will make it, and who will wash out? Two weeks into boot camp, and the cadets of Class 14-1 are proving to be more difficult than the instructors had hoped.
Every time she act crazy, you gonna pay for it. Talking to you, little mama.
The drill instructors have them so rattled, one cadet keeps referring to his male drill instructor as a woman.
All right, man. Oh, sir, you call me a man. You gotta get your freaking back. You never call me a man again. We gonna have a problem. You understand me? You understand me? Do you hear me? Get your eyeballs off me. Pause. Get your mamma and your sons together. You'll figure it out.
The boot camp's commander is Lieutenant Rose Green.
I watched the progression. It's very slow at this point, and I still see that they're very raw.
On this day in January, there was a stark reminder of what's at stake and why getting them to succeed is so important.
Cadet Mackenzie St. Fleur.
Green had just learned a cadet who completed the program in December was shot and killed in front of his house.
Mackenzie St. Fleur, 17 years old. We released him December 19th, I believe. He went back to the same home that he came from. So if that's the case, he went back to the very streets that he came from, unfortunately.
Well, there's not a lot of options sometimes. A lot of times they have to go back to the same streets, don't they?
Absolutely. And that's why we try to fortify them.
St. Fleur had passed his GED exam while at the boot camp, but he never received the actual diploma. The certificate didn't arrive from Tallahassee until the day of his funeral. Justin Martinez is hoping for a different fate.
I want to know how to be a father for one. I have a son that's 1, my daughter's 3.
The most important thing he said he can do is provide a better example for his kids as they grow up.
I never knew how to work for anything, and when I did work, I never appreciated working. I could have gave back to my mother and my kids, but instead I spent it on myself.
16-year-old Arojo is already the father of a boy and a girl, and Flores a 3-year-old son.
I had him when I was 15.
She hasn't seen her son in 8 months.
My mom told him that mommy's away for being bad. That mommy's in timeout. So when I talk to him, he tells me to behave good. And I get pictures of him too. I have pictures of him, and I feel so bad for them being there for him right now. Like, it's crazy I had to go through all this to realize how important family is. Oh, I'm sorry.
Since the start of boot camp, one frequent target for the drill instructors was a familiar face. Mark Andino was what is known as a recycle. He was in the program last year but ran into trouble and quit. He then pleaded to the judge to let him try again. Now he's back, and the drill instructors are all over him. The charge that landed him here in boot camp? Armed robbery.
My girlfriend was pregnant, and I was under a lot of pressure, and I made a stupid decision, and I robbed a jewelry store.
You think I don't remember you? I'm talking to you. Yeah, you know what, son? You better get new. This is your second time around, right? You need to get right. You understand me? Don't be a freaking statistic. Do you understand me?
Nearly 2 months have now passed, and the cadets are starting to show some signs of improvement. They seem to be getting it.
For me to be able to contain my anger and contain my self-control in this place as long as I did shows a lot about what these people do here. And, you know, they talk to us, yeah, they yell at us, but nobody sees the behind the scenes that when they talk to us and give us words of encouragement.
For some, the drill instructors transitioned from guards to the parents they never had.
They beat on us, but I realized the difference between picking on me and trying to help me.
One person who failed to make that connection was Andino. The cadet had finally run out of second chances.
Mr. Andino refused, Your Honor, to comply with the instructions and orders for the program.
Not even halfway through the program, Andino has had enough. After refusing orders and threatening staff, the drill instructors decided it was time for him to get on that bus for state prison. On this day, they were updating the judge that granted him boot camp.
Your client is potentially facing some very serious consequences.
Flunking out of boot camp meant he would have to serve the remainder of his 6-year sentence in state prison. We caught up to him a couple of weeks later inside the jail, where he was waiting to be transferred to state custody. Once you got out of boot camp and once they brought you here,
Yeah, I felt stupid.
You realized you made a mistake.
I felt stupid because, you know, I know what I traded out. I traded out some months for some years.
Andino said he couldn't handle being disrespected by the drill instructors and forced to endure some of the physical punishments, like crawling through the pit.
At the moment, it's like my mind's just, I want to escape. I want to get out of here. I want to get out of here. I want to get out of here. And when I had the time to sit there and they brought me back to the jail and I had the time to sit there and really think about it, I felt stupid because I gave it all up. I gave my freedom up. I let a lot of people down, you know what I mean, for nothing.
If Andino represents the failure of the boot camp system, former cadet Jason Bravo is one of the reasons the instructors have hope.
If I wanted to do something, I just do it. And looking back on it, everything I did was self-destructive.
Few people understand where these cadets are coming from better than Jason Bravo. Bravo was 17 when he was arrested for armed robbery and assault. He was facing a 15-year prison sentence when the judge offered him a chance at boot camp. That was in 1998.
This was my bunk. Bottom. Bottom? This was my bunk right here. I left the line up. This is where we'd eat chow 3 times a day.
A lot of good memories here.
Are they really?
Yeah, I mean, looking back at it, it was only for the best, at least for me. And like I said, I made real friends here with the officers particularly. They took a vested interest in those who really took their recovery seriously.
It's the discipline, right? It's that idea of you got to do what you got to do.
It's more than that. It's the discipline, but it's also a level of respect that you earn from them. And then once you earn that respect, they treat you like a human being. And then you understand why they're doing it. And then you see that their motives and their intentions are good. And then you worry about disappointing them, or you want to earn their approval.
The drill instructors not only helped him get through the program, but the staff wrote letters of recommendation to get him into college and then law school. After Bravo passed his bar exam in 2008, the Florida bar held up his license because of his prior felony arrests. But once again, it was the drill instructors who came through, vouching for his character. Now at 33, he's been practicing law for 4 years, and he's paying it back by talking to the cadets.
There's nothing that I accomplished before in my life. I accomplished nothing before I came to boot camp. Probably the first thing that I did in my life that was worth mentioning in a positive way was graduating from boot camp.
When we return, the big day for these cadets has finally arrived. By May, just 3 boot camp cadets from Platoon 14-1 had washed out of Phase 1. That left 35 headed toward graduation. Hours before the ceremony, Justin Martinez's thoughts turned to his family.
I'm hoping that the accomplishment that I made here proves myself worthy to them and myself, because that's my main goal, trying to please myself, but also show my family that I am something other than what they always label me as, a nobody.
His drill instructors say he's made an amazing turnaround during the 4 months he's been in boot camp.
Everyone thinks it's easy while you're in here because they're on you, they're yelling at you, they're telling you what to do. The question is, 6-9 months from now when you're out of here, what's going to be different?
That's the test. This right here is, like you said, the easy part. You got somebody always over your head. It's not so difficult to fight temptation. But when you get in the streets, you have nobody to stop that temptation from hitting you. And if you don't have the quality that they teach you here, and you keep it up when you're on the outside, you're going to fall regardless.
Jennifer Flores had a harder time in boot camp. She admits she didn't think she would make it to graduation.
When you come here, they put you down and you just feel like you ain't gonna be able to do it. It's so hard. But it's like now it's the end, like you finally see the light.
A week earlier, one of Flores' best friends, 19-year-old Vivica Correa, was shot to death, standing in front of a house in Little Havana.
I know she wasn't around guns or anything like that because she's not that type, but I know she was around with guys that probably have guns.
After learning about the shooting, Flores started acting out, refusing orders. Rather than coddling her because her friend had died, the instructors went at Flores harder, telling her everyone has to deal with horrible events on the outside. The world isn't fair, but that doesn't give them permission to screw up.
It happened to her, but it could have been me.
As Platoon 14-1 marches onto the field, friends and family members strain to get a look. It's the first time in months they've seen their loved ones. And the ceremony lasts an hour with pledges and prayers and speeches. And then one at a time, they're called forward to receive their boot camp diplomas.
Christian Araujo.
Sir, sir.
Boot camp. Jennifer Flores.
Sir, sir. Boot camp.
Justin Martinez.
Martinez has excelled in the boot camp and was named the platoon's leader.
Boot camp has restored our confidence and our will to fight for what we believe in.
But all of it is prelude to that moment when they're finally dismissed.
Sir, sir. Aye, sir. Man, I do what, sir. I do, sir.
Across the yard, the tearful scene is repeated. Christian is reunited with his 2 children, as well as his name.
His name is Connor, he's 5 months. That's Christopher, he's 2 years old.
I'm proud of him, and I thank God because I see him and he changed a lot.
A short distance away, Justin is with the women in his life, his baby girl, his mother, and his grandmother.
He's happy, he's at peace with himself, I can tell. He's at peace, and I'm happy about that.
Before he went into this, where was he heading?
Down a dark road. Down a dark road.
The next phase will begin the process of finding jobs and entering the work release phase of the program. But for now, the 5 minutes they're given to see and Hope family members is enough to keep them going. The drill instructor counts down the final seconds.
16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 1, 0.
Go get it out. Okay, love you, bye.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
And with that, they're gone. And for some, they can begin imagining their future.
For the men at Mariah Shock Incarceration Correctional Facility, prison time moves at an accelerated pace. The facility in Mineville, New York is one of 2 so-called shock boot camp prisons in the state, and one of a handful nationwide that offer shorter sentences in exchange for participation in programs that aim to prepare inmates for a brighter future.
Shock is primarily a non-violent first offender type program. Over the years, it has expanded. We now accept inmates in the Shock program from 16 to the age of 49.
About 200 men are serving 6-month intensive sentences at Mariah Shock, and inmates are occupied nearly every hour of the day.
Everybody wants to do Shock because all they give you 6 months. It's not like a regular prison when you get a 70 cell all day and stuff. They keep you so busy.
Reveille sounds off at 5:30 in the morning. Inmates have 15 minutes to get up, make their beds, brush their teeth, shave their face, put on their physical training gear.
After a 5:30 a.m. wake-up call, they exercise outdoors together. Mealtimes are likewise conducted with formal precision, as inmates move exactly as ordered.
Eyes straight forward.
Later, under a drill instructor's close watch, the prisoners run through an obstacle course. For a large portion of the day, inmates participate in education programs, while others are assigned to manual labor, working on projects outside of the prison grounds. This group is building a playground at a local Head Start center. After returning from work, inmates must go through a routine security check upon re-entering the prison. For the rest of the day, some men attend group meetings designed to improve life skills, while others join substance abuse programs.
It's no BS. Like, it actually makes you, it actually changes you. You're not going to be the same person you leave when you came in.
The day wraps up by 9:30, when inmates must turn in for the night. Boot camp prisons first became commonplace nationwide in the late 1980s. A federal crime bill signed by President Bill Clinton in 1994 allocated millions of dollars to expand them, and by 95 there were about 75 state-operated boot camps for adult offenders. Decades later, numerous studies have shed doubt on their effectiveness. Still, in New York, these boot camp prisons remain an option for shortening sentences for those who qualify. And Mariah Shock inmates like Manuel Tillett see their value.
There's a lot of denial with a lot of inmates that first walk through that door. And this program really puts them right through your face and forces you to look. It's not optional.
Fall out.
It's 5:30 a.m. Time for these men to jump out of their cots and stand at attention. But what you see here is not boot camp. These men are not soldiers. They're convicted felons, prisoners. And this is Shock Incarceration. Once they've showered and dressed in their sweats, the inmates must line up in formation in a central courtyard called the Grinder. Every day, they go through nearly an hour of non-stop physical training, all under the watchful eyes of drill instructors who bark out their orders and control the cadence.
The whole idea behind Shock Incarceration is to instill a military type of atmosphere and attitude among these convicts.
As if the calisthenics wasn't enough, with the sun rising over the hills of New York's southern tier, off they go on a 2-mile run. The Monterey Shock Incarceration Camp in a remote corner of Schuyler County near Corning is one of 3 such facilities run by the state. It's an intense program. that offers nonviolent felons the opportunity to cut down on their prison sentences by months and even years. After completing 6 months, they're released from prison on parole. Captain Matt Whitmore has been a corrections officer for 31 years. He says he believes shock incarceration is making a difference.
When parents come to pick up their sons after 6 months, they don't even recognize them. They walk differently, they talk differently, they act differently.
You really change them.
We don't change them, they change themselves. We give them the tools to change themselves.
Those tools include more than physical exercise. Every detail of their lives is strictly regimented. Their dress, their hygiene, and even the way they eat.
The theory is to break them down and then build them up.
The inmates are required to undergo drug and alcohol treatment and counseling, a classroom education, and join in work crews to assist surrounding communities. When it started back in 1987, shock was geared toward young men who committed nonviolent crimes, but it has since expanded to include repeat offenders, women, and convicts up to the age of 49. Christopher Kosinski is a 40-year-old father of 3 daughters from Messina, sentenced to 3.5 years for dealing cocaine. He will shave 2.5 years off that sentence by completing shock incarceration.
My attitude's totally different toward everything. My behaviors are different. I used to be pretty wild, and I used to just act out before thinking about it. Now, this program's changed me all the way around.
Since 1987, 46,077 inmates graduated shock incarceration. The savings to taxpayers amounts to nearly $1.5 billion. The rate of recidivism, those who commit crimes after their release, is 26.4% compared to 42% for ex-cons from conventional prisons. But not everyone is a fan of shock incarceration. DA Bill Fitzpatrick is upset that Corrections Department will grant criminals early release through shock programs without informing victims, prosecutors, or judges.
It's really an administrative usurpation of a judge's power and sometimes a jury's power.
Nevertheless, shock incarceration has been part of the prison system now for 26 years, and the state claims it works.
One of the first rules you're going to need to know is there's no talking inside our compound unless you're spoken to.
They are society's worst nightmare in the making. Most are drug pushers and users. More than a third like stealing, and a few are into setting fires.
Gentlemen, I am Lieutenant Taylor. I'm in charge of your training here at SITC, and I welcome you. First of all,
most have a history as juveniles in trouble, and all are looking at time in the penitentiary. That's why they're here, because no matter how tough they think they are on the streets, they realize they're no match for what's inside the pen. And the courts agree, even believing that with training, most of these nonviolent convicts can actually lead productive, crime-free lives.
you volunteered to do 13 weeks versus your sentence that the court has given you. Gentlemen, this is not a day camp. This is a military-style boot camp. And if you think it's funny, I'm going to tell you what, we can change your attitude real quick.
A boot camp they must graduate from in order to stay out of jail.
What's so funny then?
You lot walk around here.
Throw that Henderson bag, sir. Where's your bag? Can you fit? Get over here. Sir, yes, to my left, sir. What you doing? You told me get over it.
By now, most of these probates are in shock. They're supposed to be, because that's the only way the drill instructors can begin separating them from their past.
You understand? Sir, yes, sir. Yeah, keep that in your mind if you got one.
From losing their hair to losing their identity. It's all part of their punishment, their last chance at a new life.
Hello? Yeah, guess what? Why you can't see? I can't. It's blurry. I swear to God to you. Can't see, sir.
The probates are never physically abused.
You see this? No, sir. You can't. Get out of here. Come here. Come here. You need a dog? You need a blind dog or something? You can leave around? Say, sir.
Nor do the drill instructors use profanity. They will train hard, but they will also spend time in the classroom, as well as undergo drug rehab and life skills training.
That goes you too! Yes, sir!
For the moment, though, getting through the first few hours is all they can handle.
What's up? I can't hear you.
Sir, no, sir.
I can't hear you.
Sir, no, sir.
I still can't hear you.
Sir, no, sir.
Shock probation works, 85% of the graduates stay straight, a credit to the staff here.
We believe in these kids. This is a future generation here. We don't want to see them stay on the street and commit crime. We believe in these young men. We're going to give them that one last chance. We treat them firm, but we're fair with them. And that's the best that they can get. Even on the street, they don't get that well. Drug dealers, they could be dead the next day.
As their first day draws to a close, dinner provides yet another lesson to learn. You wait for the others before you can sit and eat. Your food is cooked by other probates learning a vocational skill. And for many here, this is the most food and the best food they've ever eaten.
You are now Los Angeles County RIT program. For the next 90 days, your butt belongs to the RIT program. Get your eyeballs off of me. When I tell you to, you are going to exit this bus. Get off the bus. You people on the Ranchman Inmate Diversion Program. By the graces of a benevolent judge, you're in this program.
As in the case with failure to successfully complete the program, if you miss a third time, you'll be removed from the program. For most of you, that means state prison. In this program, we will not tolerate any violations of the law.
Things are going to change. There are no gangs in this program. There will be no graffiti writing in this program. There will be no gang writings. Do I make myself clear? Sir, yes, sir. Do I make myself clear? Sir, yes, sir. Do I make myself clear? Sir, yes, sir.
The RIT programs uses some harsh words up front. The reality of it is we need to make some pretty severe changes in attitudes and behaviors.
I'm 24 years old, and I've been in gangs since I was 12 years old, and I never thought I was going to get out of it. And drugs, I was with drugs too, and I never thought I was going to stop. You know, I didn't give a damn about the world.
Obey all laws, orders, rules, and regulations of the probation department.
The difference between our RIT inmates and the standard population is that we're productive from 4:45 in the morning until 9:30 at night. We don't allow smoking, no candy, no newspapers, no television, no periodicals, no movies. We're working all day long, and we're working to changing attitudes and behaviors. That doesn't happen in the standard population. We make a change.
Since I got out of RIT, my thoughts are different. I think different.
Well, our crazy idea is that we're afraid of doing that. Now, if you look at it and say, this is hurting me, you guys are on a personal level, you're doing things every day that hurt you. And on a big, larger scale, the fact is we don't deal with our emotions. This, in the long run, for men,
It's the RIT program's responsibility to find a job or training experience for every RIT graduate. After the RIT graduate completes our 3-month intensive supervision, we make certain that the gang members go to a gang unit, that the narcotic users go to a narcotics unit, and that any risk goes to a high-risk offender unit.
It's interesting that the results so far have been even greater than any of us had hoped when we went into the program. Less than 12% recidivism, less than 7% people with a dirty urine test after leaving, and almost 60% of our people fully employed or in school full-time.
It's not about correcting behavior, it's about helping somebody learn to be the person that they were meant to be.
We change lives. We change lives.
Who calls back to jail? Who writes a letter back to jail? Who calls you 20 years later and says, I'm doing great, I just wanted to let you know.
For the first time in the country's history, a staggering 1 in 100 Americans are in prison. Now the number is 2.3 million. There are people who come to us who've been told, you're stupid, you'll never amount to anything, you're a dumbass. They come to us out of that experience. They come to us out of an environment that says, you better not get the right answer, I will cut you.
Everything we do has a distinct purpose behind it. We don't just say, sir, yes, sir, just for the hell of it. And if you follow the plan, in 6 months, you're going to think before you act.
So everything we do, every action we take, the way we speak, the way we carry ourselves, the way we move in and out of the classroom, the way we start the day with PT, drill and ceremony, all of it is part of this total learning environment.
That we do things like community meeting and confrontation in a caring community when the parolees have an opportunity to confront certain behaviors that are destructive to that individual and to the life of the program and to the people around them.
They're given certain directions to have a different outlook on those people that have hurt them, but more importantly, how they've hurt other people.
We find the buttons that are easy to push and say, okay, here's one of your soft spots, toughen this up, and nothing's going to be able to tip you over when you get out on the street.
And then to see them slowly but surely realize that they can, realize that they can dream again, realize that they can accomplish things they never did before. There's nothing like seeing a light bulb go off. And some of them have lived in the world of you can't, you shouldn't, and don't. And we teach them you can, you should, and try.
They truly only get 12 hours of education a week. And in that short amount of time, you can see them jump 5 grade levels. It's incredible.
But if you save one person from going back to jail, you know, everything's worth it then. I feel I do something. I make a difference.
There's confidence to be found there. I am confident that I will not reoffend.
Definitely, shock was a very integral part of me getting on track, getting my life together. And if my mother is somewhere looking, she's gonna see and be proud, because I'm not going back to that life anymore, and it's been over 20 years. So.
The world is a safer place right now. Believe me, with me living the life I'm living, I absolutely, I don't feel like it. I know I am. I'm rehabilitated. I don't even think the way I used to think.
Shock incarceration saved my life. No question about it. No question about it. I'd be dead or in jail, no question about it. This works. Shock works.
Overcome them all. HopeNetwork.org/autism.
Get off that bus, boys! Let's go! Let's go!
It's 4 a.m. and the first class of 2014 has arrived at the Miami-Dade County Boot Camp.
Sir, yes, sir! Everybody move, you're going to say something. Understand that? Sir, yes, sir! You understand that? Sir, yes, sir! What? Sir, yes, sir!
There are 38 cadets on the bus, ranging in age from 16 to 24.
We going to do it my way, or we going to do it my way? There ain't no other way. Understand that? Sir, yes, sir!
They have all pled guilty to a myriad of crimes and face sentences of up to 15 years in prison.
Let's go! Move! Let's go! Let's go! Hey, hurry up and get on the bus!
But the judges who sentenced them offered them one last reprieve. Complete the boot camp program, and they won't have to go to prison.
I can't hear you! I can't hear you!
From the moment they arrive, the cadets are subjected to a verbal campaign of shock and awe, designed to test their limits. Here, everyone is treated the same, whether they look hard and streetwise or scared and innocent.
My name is Jennifer. I'm 18 years old. I'm in here for carjacking, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and burglary.
Jennifer Flores was 17 when she and her friend forced their way into a stranger's car.
Let's go!
I was with my best friend, which is a girl, and we were just messed up on drugs and just wanted to take somebody's car. We got in his car and I grabbed him by the back of his head and my co-defendant started just beating on him.
Let's go today! Today!
As the light rain falls, the youngest cadet in the class appears overwhelmed. Christian Arojo was 15 when he was arrested for aggravated battery after getting into a fight at a party, leaving the victim in a coma for 3 months.
And you hit him because?
Because I was drunk and he looked at me in the wrong way.
The lack of self-control is a common trait among the cadets. Half the class failed to finish high school. 6 of the cadets were homeless and living on the streets. The key in boot camp is discipline and the realization that there are consequences for screwing up, no matter how small the screw-up might be.
My name is Justin Martinez, I'm 22, and I was born and raised in Colorado Springs.
Boot camp was designed for those at a crossroads, and few fit that description better than Martinez. Martinez's father spent most of Justin's childhood in prison, and Justin was well on his way down that path as well. His father was in the notorious street gang Pyru in Colorado. After his mother moved him to Florida, Martinez joined the Homestead gang 9 Trey, the gang tattoos evident on his arms. Last year, he was arrested for a series of burglaries in which he stole a gun.
Why'd you take a gun?
It's easy to sell. At the time, I was in my own apartment, and I was short on rent.
He said what haunts him is knowing how much he hurt his mother.
A son always knows his mother's pain. The look she gave me. The look she gave me when she came and saw me the last time, I knew she was hurting because she couldn't look me in my eyes. So I know I put a lot of pain in her chest.
It's been 19 months since he last saw his mother.
She told me the last thing she said was to keep my head on straight. And she wrote me a letter the other day that said to keep my head forward because I have a hot head. She knows I have a hot head.
Welcome to freaking Miami-Dade County freaking boot camp.
Sergeant William Dias helped launch the county's boot camp program back in 1995. Since then, more than 1,000 cadets have completed the program.
The program is here for you. It's not for us. All we want is your freaking best. Do you understand me?
I'm a big fan of boot camp.
Tell me why.
In part because I think it is probably the only program we have that is rehabilitative in nature for adults, for young adults. It is. It's the only program we have that's not prison.
Miami-Dade Circuit Court Judge Nushin Safi oversees the criminal division of the courthouse and knows she isn't sending choir boys into the program. Some of these folks have been convicted of some really bad things.
I would say by and large it's pretty serious offenses. I would say most of the people that I have sent to boot camp were pretty serious offenses.
You know, there's a lot of, you know the general sentiment in the public. If you ask the public, what should happen to somebody who commits an armed robbery or a carjacking or any of these things, they say, throw them away, throw them in prison.
I think that that's people's initial reaction, but what I would tell you is that I've had many cases where I thought it was my responsibility to make sure that the people involved in the case knew what I was about to do. So the prosecutors would bring the victims on these cases into court, and I did that on multiple occasions. And the one person that disagreed with me said to me, Judge Safi, I don't agree with you, but I agree with what you're trying to do. So
and what is it that we're trying to do?
We're trying to ultimately create a person that's going to be a functioning member of society and not create a person who's going to come out of prison and be a bigger, badder, better criminal.
According to Judge Safi, for many of these young criminals, boot camp may be their last opportunity to learn right from wrong.
What they tell you in boot camp is that they basically strip the kid down they strip the person down to bare bones and they build them back up. And they're part of a team, they're part of a platoon. And they're definitely taught consequences, which I think is huge. They're taught to really believe in themselves. And all it is about giving the kid a chance. Ultimately, if the cadet fails, prison is waiting. The bus is waiting, their prison number is waiting.
From the moment they arrive, they are told there is a right way to do something and a wrong way. They teach them how to stand, how to speak, how to hold their canteens. They teach them how to sit.
I'm not taking my little mousy time when I do it. I'm not taking my time, the seat dirty, whatever. I'm sitting down and rocking the same.
They even show them the right way to lower their head in prayer.
Ready, prayer.
And if they mess up, they'll all be smoked.
Smoking them is when they have done something incorrectly and we get them to do whatever the exercise is that we ask them to do.
If you move and I don't give you permission, you will pay.
Amen.
If he messes up, you will all pay.
Amen.
If he doesn't sound off, you will all pay.
Out of the corner of her eye, she catches one of the cadets scratching his face.
When I tell you, stop freaking moving. Stop moving!
But using exercise as punishment has proved dangerous.
Let's go! Get it going! Let's go!
In 2006, 14-year-old Martin Lee Anderson died in a Panama City boot camp. Anderson, who suffered from asthma, was unable to run as guards ordered. Videos showed the guards punishing him by taking him to the ground and forcing him to breathe in ammonia. The public outcry marked a turning point for boot camps. As a result, the legislature closed all 5 of its camps across the state And in 2007, the Broward Sheriff closed its boot camp program to save money. Miami-Dade's program is the last in the state, and with an annual budget of $3.5 million, it too faces a precarious future. Mayor Carlos Jimenez proposed closing the program this year to save tax dollars, but came up with the money under pressure at the last minute to save it for now. Boot camps are an inherent gamble. The